Hi everyone, Omid from CoLab here, and welcome back to the next video in our project management series on the Gherkin method. So I did mention briefly in the last video that writing your descriptions for your stories is a super important concept, and it's something that we should not be taking lightly, and that we were going to actually teach you how to write good descriptions, and this is that video. So the way that we write our descriptions is actually using a popular methodology that's actually been used a lot recently in software development. It's starting to become much more popular now, and that again is called the Gherkin method. So before I explain the Gherkin method, I want to explain a concept called BDD, or behavior-driven development. So this is not something that we use directly in CoLab, but it's something that makes writing our stories easier, and it's a pretty good methodology to use in general. So this is where our actual stories themselves should really describe a piece of behavior that an end user would want to do. So like, we shouldn't just be making features for the sake of making them. Every single story that we create should somehow link back to a specific piece of behavior that a user needs, and the story should make that clear. And this kind of helps to keep us on track, make sure that we're not building unnecessary or useless features, and it's kind of like a reality check for the project manager writing the story, saying like, hey, is this something that we really need? Does it really reflect some big user behavior need? It also helps the developers and designers just kind of realize like, oh, hey, okay, yeah, this is how my story fits into the bigger picture of things, because sometimes when these stories get down to such a small like sub-level, it does get kind of hard to really figure out like, where do I fit in? Why am I even doing this, you know? So the Gherkin method enforces behavior-driven development. It's essentially based off of that like entire concept, and it's actually very simple. Pretty much all it is the description that you're seeing up here on the screen right now, actually. So to use the Gherkin method, when we're writing a story, we use it in the structure of given x, when y, then z. X, y, and z are just random variables. But essentially, given some piece of information, when a specific action happens, then we should do this actionable item. And the then part of this clause is the part that the developer or designer is actually working on. So this is really meant mainly for software developers, and you can kind of follow the structure and see like how it makes things clearer to a software developer as well, because sometimes writing clear stories is actually much harder than it sounds. So you can kind of tell a software developer like, hey, I need this action inside of my then clause to happen when the thing inside of my when clause occurs. But you should also know that you'll have like this given case. So this is a pretty broad sort of like catch-all statement right here inside of your given. It can say like, oh, like, know that you'll be given like this specific variable, or know that like this thing will happen first, so this piece of information will also be available, or like know that you can't be doing this. That's where you can kind of make some clarifications and say what sort of data and information is available and what's not. Now we also have a notes section, because unfortunately you can't capture everything using the Gherkin method, and this is probably for more like technical stuff. So like, to quickly walk through this example and sort of see how we use all four of those different cases. If you're familiar with API calls at all, let's say that I want to make a story that involves someone creating the get all users call, right? And so as a part of that, I need to let them know that a list of all of the users in the 2022-users collection in the database is returned via the developer console. Okay, now I'm not saying that they have to do any data formatting, any data cleansing. I just need a list back. Okay, nothing special or specified about how the data is cleaned up. And I need this to happen when exactly? When a user presses the see all users button. Okay, and they might be wondering, well, am I going to get any information with this? They will be given a user ID. Okay, so this kind of clarifies to them like, hey, this is the available information that you do actually have to work with. Now, it doesn't really fit into here, but I need some like standard security token practices with my call so that not anyone can just make this exposed call. That doesn't really fit in here again, so I'll just make sure to specify in the notes like, hey, use this with standard OAuth 2 token processes. Again, it's a fairly straightforward thing. It is a bit difficult to get used to in the beginning, so definitely feel free to reach out to your project mentor or myself and sort of just like ask questions if it's not really making sense. But ultimately, this is something that will help keep you on track, and also kind of help make everyone realize exactly why they're working on certain stories, and make them much easier and more self-explanatory, and kind of reduce confusion or anything that might occur when writing stories. But that's all for our video on the Gherkin method, and hopefully I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you.